And we're live. Welcome back for a special episode on Coffee with Craner. I'm your host, Lyndon Crane, joined by a very special guest today, Mayor MacDonald. Mayor MacDonald was a two-term city councilor, went on to become deputy mayor of Leamington in 2014, and was elected as mayor in 2018. Serves on multiple boards in her role as mayor, including the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities as vice chair, serves on the Essex-Windsor Solid Waste Authority board, also as a board of director on the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Aside from that, she's received multiple awards and won recently the 2020 Oatley Award from the Consulate of Mexico for her excellent contributions to community leadership and also to her partnership with Mexico. Mayor MacDonald, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. You have a very interesting background, and it's just going to be a delightful conversation with you tonight.
Thank you, Lyndon. I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. And my favorite question of the show, where in Leamington would you say is your favorite place to get coffee?
My favorite place is Lakeside Bakery. It's like a neighborhood coffee shop, but the coffee is excellent. And the atmosphere is much like Europe, where people come and get together and have their conversations. And I love it. Their coffee is it's excellent.
What do you take in your coffee?
I'm boring. It's just black. I can't stand flavors. I don't like milk, don't like sugar. I'm easy to get along with. And if I have espresso, it's black with no sugar, no nothing.
Wow. Hardcore, I'd say.
Well, maybe.
Yes. So talk to me a bit how you got involved in politics. I know you were an entrepreneur before that, but for those watching, how did this all start for you?
There was never an intent. People like to ask, oh, were you always wanting to be in politics? And that was never the case. I opened my kitchen shop in 1997, and we did cooking classes and so on. But in the center of the store was an island, and that's where we did our cooking classes. But it slowly became a hub. We had coffee on every day. People came in to see what was happening uptown. I was also on the BIA for a lot of years. The mayor came, the councilors came. It just became a hub. In fact, I had one sales rep say to me once, it's like sitting on the set of The View, because you had so many different people come and express points of view. And I became involved in the workings of the community through council. So it was conversations. BIA, I sat on the economic development board as well. So it was just a matter of seeing what you could do when you engaged with municipal government. And I was hooked. I'm not going to say right out of the gate, but over the years, I loved it. We learned how to lobby as BIA members, and I got to know a lot of people and made a lot of connections.
Was there a situation where you were just like, you know what, I need to run? This is why I have to run.
Well, over the years, I had been asked to run by a number of people. In fact, one of the councilors at that time said, I'll pay your fee if you'll submit your name. And at the time, I knew that it's not conducive to business to run for council, because you'll make enemies. There's no way you can suit 100% of the people 100% of the time. So it wasn't something I had even considered. And then my husband was in a life-altering accident, and I always say the bloom fell off the rose for the business. I realized how much time I had been putting in to, I will say now, to the detriment of my family. And it was a real soul-searching time where I realized, you know what, I need to do something else. And because of my interest and my involvement, one thing led to another, and I put my name in, I think, January 3rd of 2006. And well, the rest is history. Here I am.
Yes, very impressive. Would it be your fourth term, and the fourth term being mayor? And I do have to mention, you were also managed the eyeglass shop, correct?
Yes.
So I have to say, I mean, when I first met you, Mayor MacDonald, there's one thing I noticed is your style, and then also your eyeglasses. And now I understand why you have amazing glasses. And that must have been an awesome experience at the eyeglass shop.
It was a ton of fun. I got to buy, I got to see what was the latest. Those were a great 12 years. The employer at the time was great, and the one there now is too. They wanted me to stay after I got elected as mayor, but it just wasn't possible. But I've worn glasses since grade 3, and back then it was not cool to wear glasses, and now I don't see it. This is me. This is me, and I am it. So I've
Yes.
had great ability to put glasses together with people. I guess it's sort of a skill.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Coming from a person who wears glasses, so I had to mention that. But how were you able to, I guess, transfer skills that you learned being an entrepreneur into your role? Because I know there must be some transferable skills.
Well, I'll tell you, budget's the first thing. Budget to me, I remember thinking, because I was not a math star in school, but basic arithmetic, understanding budgets, that helped me so much. But even by the time I sold the store, I already understood the workings of government. I understood who was responsible for what. I learned how to play the game, if you will. I learned the ropes. So the actual skills in running a business are still different, right? Because in business, if you don't get what you want, man, oh man, you get it done the next day. Government moves slowly. And those are the frustrating things. But yeah, I'll say budget was first. Interpersonal skills, although some people might say I lack them. My daughter always says I don't have a filter. But again, the learning how things work, the ability to lobby, like I said, to engage with government. I would say I learned that from the 10 years I was in the store. So other than that, I mean, we did cooking classes and wine tasting and all that kind of thing. But the budget part, I'm going to say, was the most understanding the in and out and all of that. And again, my roles on the different boards. Had I not gone into business, I would not be here. I guess that's the best way to say it. Had I not been led down that path, you wouldn't be interviewing me. I can tell you that right now.
So it's really opened your eyes.
It did. And experiences that I wouldn't have had, right? Or even the desire to do this, to be a punching bag sometimes. And I think of the evolution of just myself, in the beginning when you're unsure of yourself. I remember one gentleman said to me after I got elected, I thought you'd speak up a lot more. You're a lot quieter. And I said to him, I'll tell you something. It's great to tell your opinion to 10 people or 20, but when there's 20,000 people out there waiting to vote for you and you have to take a stand, it's a whole different ballgame. So I've evolved to the point where, there's going to be criticism. You do the best for your municipality that you can, taking in all the information. And if people don't like it, well, I'm sorry, I've done my best.
I guess that's all you can really do, right?
Right.
So, I mean, would you ever go back to being an entrepreneur?
Nope.
No. So there's no more Strawberry Kitchen Shop.
No, despite the fact that every Christmas people say to me, I miss your store. I love those years, Lyndon. I love them. I wouldn't wish them away or trade them away, but it was time to move on. Owning a business is all consuming. I can imagine what business owners have gone through in the last year and however many months. I am so thankful it's not me, because the stress, you don't shut that off at the end of the day. And I'm going to say this job is similar. I don't shut it off at the end of the day, but I have a team behind me where when my husband and I owned the store, I was the person, right? I was I was the everything else. And it was just him and I, and I felt responsible. So that level of responsibility, I don't look to have that anymore. No.
It must be all about balance for you.
It is. And I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn it, that there are, Yeah, that there are more important things, and that you need to find that. And I believe I have a tendency to throw myself into whatever I take on. Really, that COVID has given me that ability to step back, because I'll tell you,
Hmm.
2019 was insane. It never stopped. It was 24/7, 7 days a week. COVID has allowed me to just take a step back. I'm not gone every weekend. I was gone all weekend, all of 2019. I look forward to that again. But now that I've seen what it feels like not to be that
Hmm.
incredibly busy, I believe going forward, I will have the ability now to say no. I will give myself limits to how many things I take on a weekend. But I had to learn that. I guess I seem to need to learn things the hard way.
Don't we all? Don't we all? So I want to flip the switch, going back to politics. I mean, you're the first female mayor of Leamington since the 50s. What is that like? What has it been like for you in this role?
I'll tell you a cool little story. The other female mayor, Grace McFarland, actually defeated my husband's grandfather. His grandpa, Jesse Sherman, was the mayor. Grace McFarland beat him. And for a long time, my mother-in-law, if she was still alive, would have some things to say. It was a bit of a thorn for.
Yes.
So to me, it's one of those little ironies of life. So I think that's kind of cool. What has really astounded me is the people that come up to me and tell me that I'm a role model. And it's not me, Hilda MacDonald. It is the fact that I'm female, the fact that I'm not afraid, I think helps. I'm amazed at that. I'm amazed too at the men that listen to my opinion. When I've had people ask me, well, what's it like working with all men? I can't say it's been bad. I have had respect. I have had collaborative effort. It's been really great. My colleagues on council are amazing. My colleagues at the county level have been great to work with. So really, I think it shows young women in particular, and I'm thinking of my granddaughters, that women can attain this. Doesn't even matter their age, right? So that I'm happy to be an example, and I go and speak to children in the schools, and I see that they get that. So for me, that is really great. But I've never been so much about gender as about the ability to do the job well.
Hmm.
Because even if you're female and you can't do it well, nah.
Yeah, definitely. Gender aside, right? It's I think it's very important that you are female and you are inspiring others in your role, and that's great to hear, Mayor McDonald. So, what would you say, since being elected, and you said 2006 as a councillor, what have you been most proud of through all that time so far?
We've done some amazing things. So I went through two other mayors. Now I'm going to say my first term, the CAO at the time said, oh, nothing controversial ever happens in Leamington. And I will say that those 4 years were somewhat like that. And then when Mayor Patterson came on, we just had some really different things. The greenhouse industry started to boom. Of course, Heinz closed, and all of the, so we started to step into a little bit more controversy, and council's profile became a little bit higher than it had in the first 4 years. In those years under Mayor Patterson, I would say the fact that we built the amphitheater on the lake, I'm very, very proud of that. I think that is an amazing thing for a council to accomplish in a fairly short amount of time, because that's opened up possibilities for our community that weren't there before. Now, this term, as you know, I think we bought the high school, the old Leamington District Secondary School, as well as Mill Street School. Leamington District Secondary School in particular, we council has a plan to turn that into attainable housing. So different levels, you know, where there might be multi-residential, there might be tiny homes. We're not sure yet. We have a housing crisis across the globe, particularly in Canada, but even more particular in Leamington. So for us to be able to pave the way for more people to have attainable housing. I'm not saying affordable, because sometimes that has a bit of a bit of a to it. We want attainable. So it doesn't matter your income level, but you will be able to afford a home. And that's what we're looking to do. And if we can get there, I'll be really thrilled. I'm also really happy with our continued development of the waterfront. I think that got left for a lot of years. Once the marina got put in, then that just stayed. And now we're doing lots more things with it. And our uptown, I'm pleased, very pleased with our uptown. We've changed the look and the feel. And I think that, so I've got lots of things to be proud of. Again, it's not on me. These are council decisions, and we have a great administrative team. Couldn't do any of those things without those people. And you know, people forget, they seem to think the mayor has more power, but really they don't. There's still one vote. So all of these things have been very, very collaborative, and I'm proud that our community is growing the way it is. And you know what, you have to remember too, we're not like many communities in the rest of the region, because we are like a small city. Not looking at numbers, but we have diversity. We have economic demographics from the very, very poor to the very, very wealthy. We aren't like a gated community. We have the whole spectrum. And so there are lots of things to juggle, and we are trying to make our municipality a better place for everybody. So I'm proud of all of those things. And I bet you wanted one, right?
No. I mean, that is great, and I've been to the plaza downtown, and right by the water. Beautiful, beautiful park, and it's great to see those changes being made in the community that has a great access to waterfront, right? So that is awesome. And I know you say it's not the tomato capital of Canada, but now the greenhouse capital of Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Well, that's, you know, we're never going to forget our history. We've always been, you know, and we will still grow tomatoes. Just so many are now being grown in the greenhouses, and with the exit of Heinz, but still the reestablishment with Highbury Canco, there are still tomatoes being grown, but we're bigger than that. We're not, we don't hang our shingle on just one thing anymore. And I think we've learned that, right? With the downturn in manufacturing and food processing, that communities that rely on one thing have a hard time if something happens to that industry.
And I imagine I want to switch over to the migrant worker crisis, and how that has been I guess an eye-opening moment for you as mayor, and all the things that happened last year. What were some obstacles you had to overcome? Really, how did you learn from them? What was it like?
It was consuming. I guess that's the best way to put it. We in Leamington, and particularly municipal government, we knew there were going to be problems, and we tried to reach out to the powers that be. But if you don't understand a situation, it's difficult to make decisions when you only know part of the picture. So, and you know what, I'm not blaming anybody, because what did we know last year compared to what we know now? And I had many conversations about just the testing alone, the COVID testing. And there were lots of varied opinions. And I remember saying to one gentleman, but what do you have that's better? What is there that's better? And at that time, there wasn't anything better. Now we have vaccinations, and it's better. We're doing another week of vaccinating our temporary foreign workers coming up this coming week. So we're getting there. But last year, we just felt that the powers that be did not understand the numbers that come to our community through the temporary foreign worker program, they had no idea of the interaction between the workers, the community, the farms, and it was a time of education, and there was I'm going to say, an unwillingness to be educated, and we had to. I guess, like I said about myself, sometimes you have to learn the hard way. We all learned the hard way, but that's across the country and across the globe. With COVID, who knew? So and then when those gentlemen died, and I had one resident, he messaged me and he said, the blood of those workers is on your hands. And what could I say? I mean, what could I say?
Yeah.
So it was a challenging time. We had people who wanted to work together and others who didn't. But you know what? That's it in every situation. We are where we are now because of the willingness of all the levels to work together. And I called Premier Ford a number of times and told him, and you need to pay attention to what's happening down here. And he did. So we got through it. Certainly learned our lessons, but hopefully if it happens again, the people in power will look back and say, well, this is what we can see happened, and this is what we need to do because of what happened.
Exactly, right? Like who knew something like that would happen? And I think everyone definitely was, I guess, thrown off guard. But it's great to see that the situation's improved and things are going well in your municipality. That is awesome. And I guess fast forwarding to now, and to make the conversation more positive, what are you planning for as your term wraps up? 2022 is coming close. What are some things that you want to do for the municipality until the next election?
We definitely want to have that LDSS property totally figured out on paper, so that we can hand it to the next council and say, here it is. I'm not pushing. I had this conversation with our CAO yesterday, or the day before. I said to him, we're not saying we need shovels in the ground. We're saying we want this completed, the plan, the process, the partners already willing and able to go, so that when the next council takes over, it will be right. It will be, then they can put the shovel in the ground. Now, if they get it so the shovel can go in the ground next summer, I'd love that. We have a few other irons in the fire that I'm hoping and that are still, not for public consumption. We're working on those as well. Council is anxious to get back to the council chambers, where we're still looking. We have to keep everyone safe. I got my second vaccine yesterday, so I'll give it a couple of weeks, and then I'll be, I'll be out in public a little bit more. So we have lots we still want to do, and still moving forward again on the waterfront. So yeah, the housing situation is probably, and the LDSS property is, I would say, is the biggest thing on our horizon that we want to see completed before the fall of 2022.
Yes, the big project, and congrats to all the success that yourself and council have had so far. Mayor MacDonald, I think we've had a great conversation. We touched on so many different pieces of your experience, and I think it's been very helpful to young leaders that have been watching, whether they're interested in politics, entrepreneurship, government, you name it. I think we covered it, and I appreciate your time tonight, Mayor MacDonald.
Thank you, Lyndon, for the opportunity for me. This has been great.
Yes, you're lots of fun. I appreciate it. Those watching, thanks for tuning in. We will see you very soon. Bye for now.
Great.